Hello, everybody, and welcome to Hash Rate. My guest today is Wouter from Zeus. Hello, Wouter. How you doing?
Hi, Mark. Thank you so much for bringing me on.
So let's talk about Zeus. So it is a subnet for predicting the weather, right?
Yeah.
So the biggest question that most people will probably have when they hear that is, yeah, dude, I've already got weather.com and I've got like Apple Weather. So, why do I need this, right? Like, so what is the answer to that, just in general?
I think the answer is I agree with that. Our focus is not necessarily for the people because, let's be honest, we all don't care about a 0.5 degree difference in the prediction of the weather of tomorrow. We just want to know, like, what's the temperature going to be like. We mainly want to focus on companies that highly depend on accurate weather data. So, for example, energy grid forecasting and everything that uses like the most advanced weather data in order to get the most accurate predictions. That's basically what we want to focus on. So your Apple app or your Google app will stay the same. It will likely not depend on our data, and we're fine with that.
So tell me, who are these people that need extremely precise weather predictions? Is it like farmers? Is it, who are we talking about here?
Yeah, there are a lot of people that need it. Indeed, farmers are one of them. On top of that, also high-performing athletes, such as in Formula One. The accuracy of rain is really important for the outcome. So also traders that actually want to trade on things like Formula One also depend on it because they want to know who's going to win. And Max Verstappen from the Netherlands is pretty good in the rain. So I always like to see it rain, and maybe we can predict that in the future.
Very good. Okay, so we've spoken with another subnet. I won't name them, but there is another subnet out there that does weather, and I did get an explanation from them of how they, what they're using, and basically their whole the way they work is all of their miners run MS Aurora, which I guess is a weather package that Microsoft puts out there, and all their miners are tweaking Aurora to make it better, or hopefully better. And the ones that get the most accurate predictions using MS Aurora, they're the ones that get the emissions out of the subnet. Are you guys also using MS Aurora, or are you using something else?
No, so this other subnet that we won't name, basically what it's all about is fine-tuning a model, something we in the AI are all familiar with. We think that is not the right approach for forecasting weather, because this is something that has been done for years and years now, and it only results in models that are slightly better, say 0.1%, and it costs millions and millions of dollars to train these models. So what we do is we just send over a query for a specific area, and then we retrieve the data from the miner, and then we track their performance on local areas. And this allows the miners to really excel in specific areas and train like sophisticated smaller models for smaller areas. And then based on like their track records, we can track back which miner is the best on that specific location. So this utilizes the decentralized, let's say, bit tensor method optimally, because people can train small models and be really, really good at it. And we see that it works because we just published like a paper yesterday that if we utilize this smartly, we can see that miners perform 30% better than state-of-the-art models, like combined.
Wow. 30% better. Okay, so let's just recap. So, we were talking about MS Aurora. Your claim is that using that package could get you like a 1% better accuracy. And so you're like, that's not good enough. So we're going to do that. Instead, you focus. Your miners are focused on small geographic areas, not like sort of conceptual areas, but geographic areas. So like this city here, or something like that, right? And I don't know what they're using, but I guess they're using some form of an LLM or probably not an LLM, but something like an LLM, like the way the image generation is LLM. It's something like that, but with weather. And and it's a model that's tuned for weather, but not Aurora, and you're getting 30% better forecasts, more accurate
30%
forecasts.
lower error rate.
Wow.
And that's all because we just track on every single location which miner historically performs best. And then based on that, we can say, okay, now we're going to use this miner for this location and this miner for this location. And this allows the miners to essentially kind of work together. I do have to do like a small disclaimer. We're only getting that on temperature, which was the first thing we introduced. And we're increasing the variables we want the miners to predict one by one. So every single time we see an insane performance like this, we will move on to the next one. Currently, we're doing precipitation. We also see promising results, and we want to do it like one by one, so that eventually in like 1 or 2 years, we get a 30% lower error rate for every single variable, and people will really start using our API.
Wow. So So if we're not using MS Aurora, what are you using?
Yeah, so that's the big difference between our subnet and the other weather subnet. The miners are not uploading a model, so they're basically just providing answers. So we don't know what the miners are using. What we do know is that we let the validators use an API that queries state-of-the-art models, so that we have a benchmark against the state-of-the-art models, and we incentivize miners. We basically give them a higher reward if they beat that prediction.
Sorry, let me just. This is a key point, and so the validators determine who is right, who did the best job, and they do that not by recording what happened and then comparing the forecast against the actual measurement of temperature or whatever. They compare it against another model. I believe probably ERA5 climate, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just guessing, but that's what I.
So yeah, we are benchmarking it against both like what the actual data is, and then based on that you can get a reward of like 0.5, so half of the reward, and then on top of that, if you beat the state-of-the-art model from this API, you get like the other half of the score. So you can get like double the score if you beat state-of-the-art. And what is state-of-the-art? We query an API that intelligently uses multiple different models across the globe to get the best predictions. So basically what we are doing currently, this API is also doing with the best models out there. And we're just trying to build the same thing, but then better. And it works.
Wow. Yeah, no, this feels like, I do think in general, this weather market is a big one. And it feels like this AI technology is yielding some very sort of shockingly good results. And what I've been told about the old way of predicting weather is it takes 5 days for these old models to run apparently, and they're all like written in COBOL or probably Fortran actually is probably like they're really old and ganky, right? Like, and nobody's updated them since like the 60s, you know, and so it's like the Swift system in the banking universe, right? It's just like, why the hell are we still dealing with this garbage? It's just because nobody's cared to update it, right? There's been no reason to. So okay. Okay, so let's talk about who you're charging. So do you have paying customers yet, or is that something still in the future? And who do you think? Tell me tell me about your business model and who you might charge.
Yeah, so as I said, we can dive into multiple different things. I think the most obvious one that we can dive into is green energy. So basically, energy prices across the globe change a lot every single hour based on the amount of green energy that is being generated. Because it's always like when there's a higher demand, the prices go up, and when there's a lower demand, the prices go down. And basically what you see is that during the day when there's sun, there's a lot of green energy from solar panels, and therefore the price goes down. But you can like predict that based on how much sun there is that day. So what we can do is, as I said before, we are introducing variables one by one. Every single time we want to beat the state of the art before we move on to the next one. And what we will do is just cherry pick those to address a specific market. So the next variable we will likely introduce is wind speed at 100 meters, which is perfect for wind turbines because it directly correlates with how much energy those get.
Yeah, so 100 meters off the ground is what you when you say 100. Yeah. Okay, so like where the propellers are. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So our first market will likely be energy trading, and therefore we can cherry pick the right variables in order to address that market as soon as possible. So as soon as we have like 2 or 3 more variables in, we can start selling the API.
Wow, that's amazing. That's absolute need for that, right? So, so what is the total addressable market for weather-driven energy, green energy?
Yeah, so that specific niche is more than $1 billion industry yearly. So it would be awesome if we get the most accurate forecast on weather so that people can trade on our data. And that's our goal. We're going to address that market first. And the market is bigger, but I don't want to be the guy that says it's a $1 trillion market. And
right. Yeah, no, it's best to aim smaller and over deliver than Totally,
yeah, exactly.
Totally with you on that. Okay, so let's talk about your subnet. So how long have you been running your subnet, and how is it funded at the moment?
Yeah, so we've been running it since March, I believe. I'm not really sure, to be honest. And it's funded by our mining operation. We initially were a mining team. We mined like a lot of subnets. And at some point, we really saw that climate forecasting was something that wasn't really done in BitTensor. And BitTensor is like perfect for climate forecasting because it essentially is a decentralized problem. So we saw like the need for climate forecasting or weather forecasting. And we had so much experience that in like a couple of weeks, we programmed the entire subnet. And we fund it up until this day with our mining operation. And that's the way we roll. And on top of that, one of our engineers, our machine learning engineers, actually did research at Cambridge to AI weather forecasting. And he's actually currently in Vancouver at ICML, one of the biggest AI conferences. And he's presenting that they're the only paper that is accepted into ICML on climate forecasting. So this is a big announcement here.
Huge.
Yeah, it's actually huge. We sponsored the paper. Our company name will be in it. And they basically created a state-of-the-art model for climate forecasting. So he's the one with all the knowledge. He created the entire subnet. And that is what allowed us to incentivize the miners to get this insane results of 30% lower error rates.
That is incredible. So,
yeah.
So this is a question that I get a lot, actually, when I'm explaining BitTensor to people and the subnets, right? You've basically been living off your own emissions from your subnet, but also you've been mining other people's subnets. So that's been generating some revenue for you. And at the moment, you're not generating revenue, although there's this big market you could start attacking and charging people for these forecasts. But let's just say you're successful. Let's say you're selling like crazy, and you're making I don't know, call it $100 million a year in revenue. Let's say, right? It's $1 billion market. Let's say you get a tenth of it, right? Because you're 30% better. A tenth feels reasonable, right? So
I agree.
So you're making $100 million in revenue. Why would you not at that point just say, you know what? F this subnet BS. F all the miners. I don't want to share my subnet emissions with them. In fact, I don't even care about this BitTensor thing. I'm just going to run my $100 million business and turn it into $500 million. And then I'm going to flip it to somebody who doesn't want anything to do with subnets or crypto or anything like that. Why wouldn't you do that?
Well, as I just explained, one of our machine learning engineers is really good at AI climate forecasting. And we actively try to mine our own subnet, and we just can't make it work because the other miners are just really, really good at what they're doing. So we need them. That's the simple answer. In order to get these insane results, we need them. And that will just keep going forever. And it also allows us to focus on other things than the performance. It is the main selling point, but if we can just set up a world where people are incentivized to get the best results and we can do everything else, that is the perfect world, because otherwise we would need like additional engineers in order to get this performance. And now this is all solved by BitTensor. So we need them, we want them, and in the future we will definitely pay them for what they're doing. Currently it's all bootstrapped by TAO, but eventually this revenue stream will also go into their wallets.
Oh, really?
Yeah, of
So
course.
how will
Because we need them.
that happen?
Yeah,
Will
so
you-
as
will
soon as
you
we
just-
are starting to
Yeah.
make money, we will just give it back to the miners. And what that exactly will look like is something we still have to think about. It will likely change over time, but it's definitely something we're going to do because we want to keep this performance.
Will it be like you pump USDC into all their wallets, or will it be
Yeah.
more like you do? Okay, so actual crypto payments into wallet. Okay,
Yeah,
interesting.
super easy.
You're the first
Maybe
person
we
I've
just
heard
buy
say that.
TAO.
Yeah, no, you're the first. So I've heard people say, well, we're going to do buybacks of our alpha tokens, or we're going to require our customers to buy services from us using our alpha token. We don't accept anything else. So I've heard that thesis. The buybacks is by far the preferred one at the moment. So,
obviously we're going to do that as well because we want to keep the bootstrap going. But as time progresses, the amount of TAO that is given out because of the halvings will decrease significantly, and you need to keep incentivizing the miners. So we will do that by basically paying them for their insane predictions.
Very interesting. Okay, you're literally the first person who said this to me, so that's a new thought from my brain. I'm going to be thinking about that from now on. Okay, so who are you guys, and what were you doing? What were you doing before all this? I guess I know what the Cambridge guy was doing. He was at Cambridge. So who else? What were you doing, and what led you to get into BitTensor and Weather, I guess, in general?
Yeah, so I studied AI actually at the University of Amsterdam, and I was doing my thesis at KPMG. I was in my final weeks, and then someone introduced me to BitTensor, and I read the paper on BitTensor, and it immediately clicked, and I was like, "Oh damn!" So I literally dropped out of university. I was 3 weeks out, no joke, to start mining and to start building on top of BitTensor. And it went pretty well. I started a company to start mining, and then eventually, because we saw the need of the weather on BitTensor, we started a weather subnet. And two of the machine learning engineers that work with us also come from my study. The guy that went to Cambridge actually is also from the University of Amsterdam, but he was asked to come and do his thesis over there on weather forecasting because he's a really intelligent guy. So they spotted him. They were like, "Come over here, we need you." And now they're presenting their work on one of the biggest AI conferences in the world. So yeah.
What are the AI people like when you tell them, "Hey, I'm a BitTensor subnet," right? Because they're all like, "Well, I'm with OpenAI." "Oh, okay. Well, I'm with Grok," right? And you're like, "Oh, I'm with this crypto BitTensor thing." Like, do they look down on you as like, what's that bullshit?
I think
or are they curious and do they think it's kind of cool?
Yeah, they're definitely curious, but crypto obviously also has a name, and I'm always trying my best to explain to them that there's actually real value over here.
Yeah.
But I feel like everyone is trying to do that with every crypto, and there are some scam cryptos out there. So I think people are definitely interested, but at the same time, they're also like, I don't know.
Well, I think that's got to be changing a little bit with all the activity, at least in the United States, with all the activity in Congress, just, over the last 48 hours, right? We passed 3 crypto bills, right?
Yeah,
now, they're not totally signed in law yet, but I mean, holy shit, that is far more than that's happened in the last, 20 years.
I agree, but in Europe, it's the other way around. Everything is anti-crypto. Even setting up a company and trying to pay taxes and just do everything legit is really hard. Getting a bank account in Europe as a crypto company is super hard.
Well, it used to be that way in the United States, until Trump. I mean, under Biden and Warren, it was horrific, and it was exactly the same way, right? And then everything just sort of flipped around, over the last 4 months or so. So
yeah, I agree. I really hope that the same will happen in Europe, because I think it's unfortunate that you let people that are so intelligent spend their time on bullshit things like getting a bank account and explaining crypto when all we're trying to do is make good AI and make it all better. But I think over time people will just see that, for example, with Zeus, we're doing such a good job. As soon as we introduce every single variable and we actually beat state of the art, people cannot deny that it actually holds value. So it will just take time.
Are there companies that are not BitTensor, but yet are AI? Are they attacking this same weather problem that you are?
Yeah, absolutely. It's
it's
such a big industry. There are so many companies trying to do this. Up until this point, basically what you also see in other industries, the big companies such as Google, they completely dominate the entire industry. And I love it that we with BitTensor can kind of attack that by joining forces and letting people like combine their work.
Yeah, pretty interesting. So, all right, let's talk now just about BitTensor in general a little bit.
Sure.
So, it strikes me and some other people that I speak with that we have not yet seen a giant breakout multi-billion-dollar subnet yet, right? Now, I mean, I'm not talking fully diluted value. I'm just talking, market cap with circulating supply today, right? It's all, it's pretty much shoots is at the top, around 100 million or so. It depends on when you look, but whatever.
Yeah.
And everybody else is sort of, varying degrees of schlempier, down to like, a couple hundred K for sort of like the schlempiest of the subnets. Yeah. The average one is sort of like, 1 to 2 million, maybe 4 to 5 million, kind of depending on where they are in the pack, which is kind of shockingly small compared to some other projects out there in the broader crypto world, like Akash or whatever, or virtuals, things in the virtuals universe, right, which are several orders of magnitude larger in terms of market cap with circulating supply. Which I think is good because I think BitTensor is sort of healthier, but I think these market caps are way too small, and I think the only reason why is one thing is education. A lot of people don't know about the BitTensor universe yet. I think they're figuring it out. I think that's changing, but I think the bigger problem or challenge or reason why we haven't seen a lot of liquidity flow in is because it's hard for it to get over into subnets, right? You have to buy a TAO token. You have to get a BitTensor wallet, right? So there's sort of two prong attacks on this problem. One is institutional investors or people creating vehicles for institutional investors to invest in subnets directly. Give your cash to a hedge fund. The hedge fund then puts it into the subnets, and I'm hearing a lot. There's a lot of activity there. It's not. It hasn't launched yet. But I'm hearing like within the next few months, there's going to be a lot of money flowing in through institutional. We all know Barry Silbert is doing a lot to sort of facilitate this. But the other sort of more immediate thing I'm hearing about is consumer. And there are basically two efforts underway that are going to drop, I think, both next week. One is what Sturdy is doing, which will allow subnet tokens to be purchased with USDC, Tether, or Ethereum on the base chain, right? And then you buy your subnet token, and it goes directly into your MetaMask wallet. You never have to. You don't have to worry about TAO at all. You're basically just in Ethereum universe. You're like, or base universe. And you're like, oh, I just want to buy subnet tokens. You can just do it, right? It looks magical, right? Like I cannot wait for this to launch. They say they're launching next week. The other option is something called Void, and Void has got a traditional bridge and wrapped token on Solana. Oh, okay, yeah. So that's apparently coming like any day now, and the idea there is that the subnet tokens will appear in the standard issue Solana dexes like Radium. Like you'll go to Radium and there will be subnet tokens, on the menu.
Awesome.
Right. Which this other thing, which Sturdy will not have, right? Like to my knowledge, right? Because when you buy a subnet token using Sturdy, it actually exists on the EVM layer of the BitTensor chain, which means it's honest, right? There's no bridge. So anyway, I know it's kind of a long-winded explanation, but
it's fine.
What do you think of these consumer bridges and things? Are you bullish on it? Will you be participating in it?
I think they're definitely good, but I think we should go even one step further. I think most of the volume in crypto is coming from people just opening an app that everyone knows and buying some crypto. I think that is like, I have no clue what the actual numbers are, but let's say it's like 50% of the volume. But I think it will just take time. So, for example, with Zeus, if we really become the best weather forecasting agent out there, people want to buy our alpha token, and people will start asking, where can I buy this? And companies will jump in there and be like, you can buy it over here. And then other companies will do it as well. So I think we should just keep building. And then as soon as the value goes up even more, we will see that companies just start building on top of these things you're just explaining, to make it like super, super easy for people to just open an application on their phone and be like, I want to buy Zeus because they're doing an insane job. So yeah, I am bullish, but I also think it will take some time before it actually starts working, because I think you have to build something else on top of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, and there's another sort of part B to this whole question, and that is what is a subnet token, right? I've thought about this question a lot. Is it a meme coin for a subnet, right? and right, I mean, it kind of feels like maybe that is the case, but is the stock Tesla nothing more than a meme coin for the company Tesla, right? And sort of yes, right? Sort of a meme coin for Elon, sort of a meme coin for whatever Tesla is doing. Theoretically, there are fundamentals and other things, but really the market just decides on what they think the valuation of Tesla is based on how they feel about Elon or what products.
I think I totally agree. It's kind of like stocks in general are kind of meme coins, and as soon as you get dividends, it's just the company deciding they're gonna pay like a little bit to the people that hold it. And I think with what I've just described, with giving back to the miners, we can also do it to the validators, to the stakers. Because we want to keep money inside the system, so people will be incentivized to invest. But yeah, I don't know how to answer it other than it's just like you described. It's an Elon Musk meme coin, but then on
so it is a meme coin, but that's okay. Yeah, because I think
fine. There is value.
Back in the olden days, right, when people owned stocks, like kind of in top hat times, like well, Muffin, I've got my stocks and I'm getting dividends. You owned them for the dividends, right? Like that's why you owned them,
exactly.
Right. And then I don't know when it happened, but at a certain point, like the dividends kind of went away, and you just had stocks with no dividends, which is sort of weird, right? Like it would have been to those people in the 20s and the top hats. And now we just own stocks here in the future, and there's basically no dividends, and that's not why you own the stock. You own the stock because you think it's going to go up in value, right? So, but there is no real connection to the fundamentals of the company. It's all sort of it's just psychological, right? It's not directly.
Well, theoretically, if you have like 51% of those stocks, which is like impossible to get, but you actually have like a big vote, and even if you accumulate a lot of stocks over time and you get like a significant amount, you officially have the right to have a voice inside the company. So I think that there's some value over there. I don't know how this relates to alpha tokens, to be honest. But in some sense, it might be the same, because currently what you see on BitTensor with the alpha tokens is that miners accumulate like a lot of alpha, and all of a sudden they start conversations with the subnet owners, because they hold like a significant amount of the subnet. So they obviously have a right to say something. And if they don't believe in the future, they will dump it. And that's also not good for the company. So I think it kind of works in the same way.
Do you guys have people approaching you saying like, yo, I own 3% of your supply. When can we meet? Do you have like that?
Well, not like that, but yeah, we definitely talk to our miners. They're doing an incredible job. We currently have 2 variables on our subnet. And we see one team that is good at one and another team that's good at the other. So we're just trying to make the subnet fair in a way that both miners groups can stay in. They definitely reach out. They don't say like the amount they have, but we can definitely infer that based upon what we see in our subnet.
I guess what I'm saying is like some people feel like when they own a large amount of your subnet token or got stock in your company, they feel like they now have a right for you to like demand answers from you, right? They're like, okay,
well, I kind of agree on that, although I don't like it, but it makes sense if someone owns a big part of your company or whatever it is, that they can say something about it. So although as a subnet owner I might not like it, I think it's something you have to deal with. And I think it's also healthy because otherwise it's just your vision and your team deciding what's going on. And now you also have like other people jumping in. And of course, you have to take everything they say with a grain of salt because they always try to make the subnet in a way that will be beneficial for them.
Sure. Or they might not know anything about weather or AI. And they might be like, listen, I got an idea. No, just don't stop me. Don't stop me. I know how to predict the weather using a magic 8-ball, and it totally works. Right? They have some batty idea like that, right? And you have to be like, oh, I guess I have to listen to this. So
yeah, so you as an owner of a company, you always have to like pick out the right information, and sometimes you have to ignore people, and that can negatively impact your company temporarily. But as long as you make the right decisions every single time, the long game will work out. So we definitely had also people that wanted to change things on the subnet because indeed they had like a lot of alpha. But if we truly believe that it's not beneficial for the subnet, we just won't do it, and we will just take the hit.
What do you think about the subnet scene in general? And by that I mean the yield in most cases, right? If you own subnet tokens, you are getting somewhere between 70% to 90% APY. It kind of depend on what subnet you own, right? Yeah. Versus if you're just staking to root, it's now like 8% or 9%. It used to be like 20%, right?
Yeah.
So, and I used to on every show be like, the root is too damn high, and now I feel like it's still high, but it's not too damn high. I feel like it's at least something reasonable now. I think it should be like 4%, but I think it's heading in the right direction. So the yield is pretty good, right? If you stick around for a year, you don't quite double your holdings, but almost. Yeah. However, the dilution is pretty extreme, right? So you're getting diluted because of the emissions out of the chain of subnet tokens, right? It's month one when a subnet was born, it was roughly 75% dilution in a month. Right.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that. Wow.
Yeah, I actually measured it. It was about 2.5% a day. Like when a subnet is just first born, because it's just gushing. At first, it just gushes new tokens like crazy, right? And then that curve goes down pretty fast. Yeah, so the dilution is after like month 2, month 3, it calms down into something a lot more reasonable. Mm-hmm. But you're still dealing with dilution, and it's still pretty big, right? Until the halvenings kind of come, right? Again. But the market caps, as we noted earlier, are extremely, 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 extremely low. Ready AI, I think last time I checked was like 20 million market cap. Its corollary in the real world is Scale AI, which just got sort of acqui-hired by Facebook for 28 billion, I believe. So, quite the delta there, right?
I agree.
And you have.
I'm not really too worried about it, to be honest. I think that.
Yeah. So the question is this: are you an idiot if you're investing in subnet tokens right now? And if not, why not? Okay, go ahead. Tell me why.
I think up until this point, BitAnswer was a lot of bootstrap. People were still building. There were a lot of mistakes inside BitAnswer that we're still solving today. But at the same time, great things are coming. So it makes sense that the entire market cap of BitAnswer is relatively low. I think it's fine because it motivates people to go outside BitAnswer and actually do something with the product. And that creates like a revenue stream into BitAnswer, which eventually will result in a higher market cap. So it both motivates people now to actually make things that work, and eventually it will work out. So if you want to invest into a subnet, I would say if you truly believe in their product, just invest into it. Wait for 10 years, just like with Bitcoin in 2010, and then you will see the results.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I obviously I agree with that because I feel like the risk reward of moving early, especially in crypto, but especially in BitAnswer, where I believe the economics are extremely good. Because you have. Everything is driving value into TAO just more or less continuously. And I think the decision to sort of shut off the spigot of new subnets, right? So we're capped right now at 128 temporarily. We don't know how long this cap is going to last. Yeah. But I think that's forcing the ecosystem to think only about those 128, obviously, because there isn't anything else. Before there was everybody and their brother was trying to add a new subnet, and they were starting to get kind of shitty. So like 90% of BitTensor is really awesome, and then like anything, there's like 10%, maybe 15% that's just goofy ass and dumb and like shouldn't be in there, but you have to deal with it. But that's sort of the inverse of the way Ethereum was during the ICO and the ICO phase, and even the DeFi phase, where it was sort of like 20% good stuff, 80% bullshit, right? BitTensor's, it's flipped. It's like 80 or 90% really good stuff, and then 10, 15% bullshit. So, but the 128 cap has really solidified that ratio of good to not good, I think. So I think taking the risks early, while I think the market caps are so low that it outweighs the dilution that you're seeing. Like it won't. Yeah. And I think these other, and combined with the macro crypto market kind of exploding because of the regulations in the United States being passed in Congress, and all these liquidity sources that are about to erupt, both on the consumer side into BitTensor and on the institutional side. I think it's just a guess, and it's just my opinion, but that's what it looks like to me. So yes, concur.
I agree. I just agree. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And I fully agree on the ratio. I absolutely, I'm a believer in the temporary cap. And what you said about like the balance of the 80-20, I think you will always see that. And that's also something that is encouraged by the low market cap. Because if the market cap was like way higher, you would be super incentivized to create like a bullshit subnet and get like 0.0001 emission because you would still be rich. And right now that's not possible. So I think the ratio is also correlated with the relatively low market cap. And that allows us to keep building serious stuff, and that will work out in the long game.
Yeah. Okay. So let's ask a sort of unpopular question. Okay. What are the threats to TAO? As an investor in the BitTensor ecosystem, I'm always sort of running the disaster scenarios in my head. Like with Ethereum, right? We had Ethereum was a big success, but then along came Solana. Right. All the VCs looked at Ethereum and went, oh, you know what? That looks pretty good. Let's go make our own one of those and let's fix all the problems with it. Right. So let's make it super fast and let's go kill that thing with this Solana thing. Now, Solana did not succeed in killing Ethereum amazingly. Right. Because it had everything going for it. The speed, the VCs, I kind of thought it would. I by now have sort of surpassed Ethereum and killed it off. But Ethereum has hung on. It still has like a giant amount of the TVL in the DeFi space. Something like 60% of all TVL is still, to this day, in Ethereum, and it looks like it's going to start growing again. I know, it's crazy, right? Like you think of it as like this old chain that's sort of like creaky, and maybe Solana surpassed it, but it hasn't, not even close. Solana is like 1/6 the size of Ethereum in terms of total value locked in DeFi or decentralized finance. Which is amazing given the advantages that it has, right? But the VCs came along and they own a ton of Solana. They don't own a lot of Ethereum, right? So they're like, no, we're going to own most of this one. Could TAO face a Solana? Could A16Z wake up one morning and be like, you know what? That TAO thing looks pretty good. Let's go make our own one of those, and we'll own a third of it, right? What do you think about that? Is that possible?
Yeah, I think you basically kind of gave the answer I wanted to give, which is as soon as you make the shift, people will be like, oh, this is the next big thing because it's a little bit better than BitTensor. And then they're going to go all in. And then what you will see is that a few big investors own like 80% of the market cap. And that is so bad for the ecosystem. And I think BitTensor did a really great job in like spreading all the tokens across multiple people in the beginning so that it's not owned by like 4 or 5 big institutions. So yeah, you can definitely start like a better BitTensor or start your own BitTensor-ish token, just focused on your own subnet ID. I think in theory it would work if everyone on the same day in the same minute would shift towards it. But it's just impossible because initially you will see people that just buy and do a pump and dump or whatever you want to call it. So I think there's a threat if everyone would shift at the same time. but I think that's very unlikely.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think BitTensor was born well. I wouldn't say it's as even Bitcoin did not have the immaculate conception that a lot of people think it had, right? And even I subscribed to the immaculate conception theory for a long time, until I have a friend named Fred Krueger and another friend named Ben Sigmund, and together they wrote a book about Bitcoin, where they actually did a shitload of research into trying to figure out how it was born and who Satoshi was. They've got some pretty interesting ideas on that. But the main thing I think that they uncovered and walked me through was that it was iterative. There was sort of like this thing, which led to this thing, which led to this thing, and they actually traced the evolution of it. Right? They've got like the Cro-Magnon man, the Neanderthal man. They can show the gradual evolution. And once they sort of laid it out for me, I was like, oh my God, you're right. I think
Awesome.
this is the right story. This is pretty close to being the exact
I think
right
I
story.
know
right?
what I'm going to read next. But
Yeah, it's good.
now I'm curious.
The
did
big
they figure
Bitcoin
out who the founder of Bitcoin is, or did they?
Well,
have,
they
like, a
don't
good
say.
guess?
They don't say who they think Satoshi is, which I think is good, because I think, like, look, if you know that Clark Kent is Superman, you don't want to share that knowledge, because you want to help Superman, right? You want to be on Superman's team, right? I want to be on Satoshi's team. Like, if I knew for sure who he was, there's no way in hell you'd ever get that out of me, and I just pretend like I didn't know, right? So
I love that.
I want to help Superman, right? Because I like what Superman does. So yeah, but I no longer believe that it was, sort of born perfect, like a Mozart symphony. Like, Mozart seemed to be able to do that, right? But I don't think Satoshi was able to do it with this. That said, I do think that BitTensor also is not perfect, but it's pretty good. It's as close as you probably get, and I think it would be very difficult. It's very close to an immaculate conception. And I think it would be very difficult for a venture-backed entity to replicate that vibe. And I think that vibe is incredibly important.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think I agree with you. It would be difficult for A16Z to do.
Yeah. And BitTensor was also not like super overhyped at the beginning, and I think that's also a good thing, because otherwise you will get the thing where big VCs just buy like crazy, and people would not like evolve over time, but it would be like, oh, this is amazing. If people would know nowadays what Bitcoin was like back in 2009, and it would be like the new Bitcoin, everyone would buy it, and the entire like idea behind Bitcoin is gone. And I think the same holds for BitTensor. So
I think that's true. Yeah, I always thought, like, if somebody honestly totally got what Bitcoin was in 2009 and just basically bought every single Bitcoin, right, like, or bought like 90% of supply, then Bitcoin wouldn't have worked, right? Because everybody would have looked at it, well, that guy's got like 90% of it. Like, this is bullshit. Like, it's not, it has to spread out amongst a lot of people for a lot of people to trust it. So, yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
So,
and I think people will be the same with TAO in the future. They'll be like, oh, back in the day I mined one TAO. I wish I kept it.
Yeah. No, I'm totally with you. I'm in accumulate as much as possible mode right now through multiple efforts. I'll put it that way.
Awesome.
So
awesome. Sounds good.
Yeah. So what haven't I covered that you wish I had asked? Is there anything you want to sort of go over? Or is that kind of it? We kind of got it? Okay.
Maybe I want to tell you a story about the stock market, about where the name is coming from. You just talked a lot about the stock market and what it is. And do you have any idea where the name is coming from?
Where the name stock market came from?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Okay, so hundreds of years ago in the Netherlands, people would buy these ships and they would sail out to India and wherever to explore the world, and that is what made the Netherlands rich. It's called the golden century for us. But one of the things that happened is that people would invest a lot of money into their boats, and there was a relatively big chance that these boats would be captured by pirates or just wouldn't make it back. So they thought about, how do we fix this? So they thought about it for a long time, and at some point they were like, we should, instead of every single person buying a single boat, we should just combine it and buy boats together. And then they sail out, and then we share the profits. And people were trying to scam other people, telling them that they owned a piece of the boat. So then at some point they were like, how do we figure out who owns the boat? So it turns out that if you take a stick and you break it, it always has like a unique breaking pattern. So what they would do is they take a stick, break it, put one in the boat, and the other one they give it to the owner. And in the Netherlands, a stick is called stok. So
it's like a private key, right? Because only like my stick goes with that stick, right?
Yeah. So basically, you can identify your stock or stock in the Netherlands by showing your stock, and that's how the name stock market was born.
That's a great story. I love that.
Yeah.
So very, very cool. Okay. All right. Where can people find you online, and where can we find Zeus?
So personally, I'm not doing anything on X. I'm just behind Zeus. I should probably change that.
Do you have an X account at all? You must.
I just
right?
have the Zeus account.
Oh, you just have the Zeus account? Because I was like, I talked to somebody on X. So okay.
Yeah.
So
The Zeus I have the Zeus account, so people can find that. And I think the tag is Zeus Subnet, if I'm not mistaken. Let me.
Yeah, I'll find it and put it in. It'll be in the show notes.
So, yeah, Zeus Subnet. And people should definitely go to it and read the paper where we show what is it? Oh, it's even 39.8% lower error that we achieve on temperature. So read that, be hyped. I think that people generally don't understand how big this is. But they will soon.
So if I'm a Formula One racer and I want to buy predictions from your subnet, where do I go do that? I can't do that yet, right? But
we're currently working on the API on our website, and soon you can actually start buying. Basically,
can I
API
sign up to get on a list? For when it releases.
You know what? We will actually implement that because you said
okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, I figured you might want to collect customers, right? So
yeah, that makes sense.
I figured some people will see this, see this podcast or one of your many others, and be like, yeah, I want to sign up for that. So I want to be notified.
Well, actually, since the last podcast I did, or the first one, people actually reached out to us, mainly energy traders that want to buy our data because they're interested in it. They see the performance. So we do have some traction, and this is also the reason we're gonna cherry pick those variables, because these are the first customers that actually reach out to us and want to buy our data.
Awesome. Well, I wish you all success, man. This is it's been a fascinating hour. So thank you very much for.
Thank you so much for having me on. And
okay,
I'll talk to you soon.
Yep. My name is Mark Jeffrey. This has been Hash Rate. See you all next time.